I think Quant is so underrated, and even though it's not a small project by any means, I believe that hypothetically during this bull run, it could very well reach the price of $5,000. And of course, nothing I say is financial advice nor a guarantee, but keep in mind, $5,000 is currently over a 60x from here. So yeah, I still think it's very underrated, given how special it is, even though, again, it's not a small project. Because historically speaking, we've seen developers, enterprises, sometimes they complain and say that, wow, when we build an application, we only have to be stuck building on only just one blockchain, which is kind of caca, really, when you think about it. Because imagine if I built an application and then I can only just choose one blockchain. That kind of sucks. That's like, for instance, in real life, I can't use anything but only one brand. Let's say my glasses, my shirt, my pants, my socks, my shoes have to be the same brand. That's kind of weird. Sometimes you want to mix and match to get the best of each qualities, right? But when it comes to Quant, they quite essentially give this ability, but in the world of, application building, quite essentially, because, again, it does solve an issue as to how people no longer have to be stuck building on only just one blockchain. You got to think about this. Through the Quant networks over Ledger OS, you got to think about how it does allow something called a multi-chain application to be built. Now, you may be wondering, okay, what is this? But again, as the name goes, it's a multi-chain application. So it's an application that is built on top of multiple blockchains instead of just one. So through that, people no longer have to be stuck building on only just one blockchain, which may very well be complete caca. So of course, this is very amazing in my opinion. Imagine, let's say someone can build an application that takes advantage of the speed of the Stellar blockchain and the Bitcoin blockchain at the same time. Wouldn't that be something genius? Wouldn't that be so revolutionary? That's exactly what the Overledger OS allows to do. Again, allowing people to build multi-chain applications. This is how revolutionary it is. And I think sometimes people don't understand this. So when they see the price of Quant being, quite essentially outperformed by Bitcoin, they like to say, oh, wow, Quant is trash, it's caca. But the low prices doesn't, represent just how well it's actually doing, because fundamentally, nothing bad happened to Quant. If you really think about it, what bad thing happened to it? If suddenly Quant came out and said, yeah, we're a meme coin, then that's very weird. I mean, come on, right? But when it comes to Quant, it's still very fantastic. Also, on top of that, its partnerships are still A+. You take a look at one of its partners is Oracle, allegedly the world's largest, data management company. So you got to think about that. Is that caca? No. Do you think Oracle, for instance, is going to partner with something that's trash, something that's, caca again? They're not going to do that, because usually when these large enterprises want to partner up with something, they do their due diligence. They actually look into it. They actually want to make sure that, hey, it's not just based off of hype, right? A lot of people out there, they like to say that, oh, wow, this one is good, this one is bad. Do you think that these enterprises are going on Discord, on X, and then getting advice from these people? I think highly unlikely. I mean, come on. I think they're doing their own research, their own due diligence. And I think Oracle, they understand that, hey, when it comes to Quant, this could be something so special here. It's very amazing. And I agree with them, because I think Quant is actually very amazing. I mean, the Quant network, the Overledger OS, it's the real deal. But you want to know another added bonus for these Overledger OS users? And that's something called the Overledger network. And that's a place where they can share their data, their apps, their resources, and monetize them. Because after all, the Overledger network is made up of the Overledger OS users. So yeah, that's how incredible it is. When it comes to Quant, it's pretty much the real deal. Now, not financial advice, but in terms of use cases, also very amazing. You take a look at, for instance, transaction processing, gateways and staking for application users, for enterprise licenses, and many others. The list feels like it's endless. So if I just said it, people would get kind of bored. But even besides that, I think you get the point. When it comes to Quant, it's not a one-trick pony. Some people out there like to say that, hey, dude, why don't you buy Bitcoin? No, I'm not going to do that, man. If something like Quant exists, I'm not going to choose Bitcoin at all. And also take this into consideration. When it comes to Quant, they're even focused on NFTs. Now, some people, they may clown this, they may laugh at this, because they're like, oh, wow, when it comes to NFTs, oh, it's so trash, it's nonsense. Look at Bored Apes, Mutant Apes, NFTs only revolve around them. Well, maybe back in 2021, that did give NFTs a lot of attention, no doubt. But I think in the future, it could be so different. In fact, according to Grandview Research, the NFT market is predicted to be worth over $200 billion by 2030. Keep in mind, we're nearing 2025 at this point, which is kind of insane. I mean, just felt like I was celebrating New Year's just last week, feels like. But Again, basically 5 years away at this point. Insane to think about. So when you think about it, NFTs, they have a bright future, and Quant being focused on that, it's amazing. And potentially Quant is looking to revolutionize that market. Again, a market that could potentially be worth over $200 billion. And how are they doing that? Through something called QRC 721. Now, you may be thinking, okay, there's so many NFT standards, we don't really need another one. But if you take a look at it, most NFTs nowadays, they're on Ethereum's ERC 721. Not that great in my opinion. It's notably known for its lack of alleged interoperability, and also on top of that, it's also known for its alleged security nonsense, which has been somewhat documented actually. But even besides that, when it comes to Quant's QRC 721, this issue doesn't exist. So that's how amazing it is. Very fantastic overall. So again, when people like to laugh at QRC 721, I think it's going to replace actually ERC 721 moving forward. Now, granted, that's going to be a little bit difficult in the short term, but in the long term, once people start believing in this, it's going to be like a domino effect, because once they see others using QRC 721, they're going to follow. Again, right, it's just going to be like a domino sort of snowball effect. It's a kind of exponential. So once 2 people, 4 people, 8 people, or let's say 8 developers, 20 developers, really it's just going to start off the thing, so to speak, the movement of QRC 721, but it's going to take some time. And I understand that, which is why I believe Quant in the long term. These low prices, they're not going to shake me out, because I've been believing in Quant for quite a while now. You take a look at my videos. Back in 2022, I was talking about Quant then. So when people like to say that, oh, wow, you just like Quant because it's cool. No, man, I actually like it because it's amazing, fundamentally. Now, catch this as well, right? People like to say that, oh, wow, when it comes to Quant, it's so caca compared to Bitcoin. Again, I'm going to harp on this because I did mention this earlier on the video. You take a look at how Bitcoin maximum supply is 21 million. You take a look at Quant, depending on the, site or exchange, it's around 14.6, around 14.8, in terms of the supply. But people like to say that, oh, wow, when it comes to Quant, right, even though it's rare, it's not better than Bitcoin. Well, I think it's actually better than Bitcoin. And also on top of that, being more rare is a great advantage, because you take a look at Bitcoin, sure, it's rare, it's a good store of value, but really beyond that, what's the good use case about Bitcoin? I get it, there are Bitcoin layer 2s out there that quite essentially give new use cases for Bitcoin, but solely Bitcoin, it's just kind of limited in my opinion. Now, nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that Bitcoin's going to do bad. I think Bitcoin is going to do well in the future, because you take a look at the number of institutional investors, enterprise adoption for Bitcoin, it's through the roof. So it's going to do good. But I think that Quant is just a much better pick for me, because not only is it more rare, not only is it better in terms of the use case, but I think room for potential upside is a lot greater, because imagine this, right? Again, Quant at the price of $5,000 is over a 60x from here. Can Bitcoin do over a 60x from here during this bull run? I'm not saying the long term. I'm just saying exclusively during this bull run. Highly unlikely. I mean, come on. That's totally out of the question. Now, could Bitcoin do a 3x? Yes, hypothetically, but in my opinion, could Quant do over 3x? That's like easy peasy, man. I mean, come on, really. Even if it, let's say, just does 50% of what I think it will do, that's like still around a 30x, so it's not caca by any means. Bitcoin can't do that. Bitcoin can't do over 10x during this bull run. Hypothetically speaking, of course, which is why I'm choosing Quant over Bitcoin. It's much better and it's much more rare, much more room to grow. And you got to think about how at the price of $5,000, it's not some sort of insane, crazy pipe dream that's never been attained, because if it were to go to that price, considering its current circulating supply, market cap would be around $60 billion. Yeah, that's not bad at all. We've seen BNB reach over $100 billion. We've seen Dogecoin reach over $80 billion. They're not as good as Quant. At least that's the way I view it. Now I get it. Doge has a lot more fans, a lot more hype. But I think this, if anything, showcases that, it's not that difficult to achieve over a $60 billion market cap. By the way, this is still around, $20 billion less than Dogecoin's all-time high market cap. So it's not crazy. BNB, at one point, right, you take a look at the BNB Smart Chain ecosystem just last year. According to Crypto.com research, slightly over 2% of the crypto hacks that happened that year actually occurred on the BNB Smart Chain ecosystem. That's not great. The crypto space overall is massive. You don't see security nonsense going on with Quant. You just don't, because I think it's that amazing. But again, it's going to take some time. And usually altcoins, they do peak around 18 months after a Bitcoin halving event, which would mean around October of next year, because even though some people think that I pulled this date out of a hat or whatever, that's actually not true. Bitcoin halving event happened back in April. So historically, as a worst case, again, altcoins around 18 months from then would mean October of next year, around that time. Near the end of 2025, actually, but I really don't mind. Now, granted, could altcoins peak sooner? Yes, but if it happens a little bit later, fine. More time for me to accumulate. Now, I'm not saying that I want to wait like 2-3 years or whatever from right now. That's a little bit long, but around a year, fine by me. I don't really mind anyways because, again, more time for me to accumulate. And my strategy is very simple, just dollar cost averaging, acquiring, holding, just waiting, because that's what I can control. I'm focusing on things that are within my control. I'm not going to day trade, use leverage or swing trade, or worry about what happens to the price every 2 minutes, 2 hours, 2 days. That's beyond my control. What I can control is my dedication, not giving up, believing, persevering. And that's what I'm going to continue to do when it comes to quant. The way I view it is that if I've been through all the nonsense that we see, like the FTX crash, Terra Luna, FUD about USDT, Celsius, 3 Arrows Capital, all that type of stuff, all the FUD about exchanges back then. If I've been through all that, waiting just around a year, it isn't so bad. And again, there's over 600 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research. That's more than ever before in history. So I think the FOMO buying pressure and buying volume could be so insane during this bull run, but it's just a matter of time. And I think Bitcoin, again, could hypothetically do pretty okay during this bull run, around a 3x. That wouldn't surprise me. Of course, due to the Bitcoin ETF, the number of institutional investors, and also due to the amount of crypto owners, I think that could very well happen. Now, granted, I don't own any Bitcoin. I don't want to own any Bitcoin, but as Bitcoin does, go along with the ride, I think it's only fair to assume that altcoins, much like Quant, are going to prosper as well. A lot of people out there, they like to say that they're all in on Bitcoin, but if they have like millions of dollars, then okay. Bitcoin does like a 2 or 3x, they're good. They're going to Sizzler, they're going to Applebee's at that point. But if, let's say, someone doesn't have that much, hypothetically, is it realistic to, think that a 3x is really going to be transformational? Now, not financial advice, but I don't really know about that. Even if, let's say, I had a budget of $10 million, I wouldn't even want to put any in Bitcoin. Why would I do that? Because I think altcoins, just much more room to grow. I'm not looking for 2 or 3x. If I was looking for that, I'd be in stocks or something like that, if you know what I mean, right? Why would I be in this? Why not just, S&P 500 or whatever, right? I'm in the world of cryptocurrencies to hypothetically do a lot more, which is why I really do believe in Quant at the price of $5,000 during this bull run. That wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.